Hi guys, welcome back. Let's get started with the Touch and Soul Glassy Skin Balm. I'm just gonna put that in the areas where you would like your face to have more glow. For me, that would normally be where I would highlight, so my cheekbone area, forehead, my nose, and my chin. To fill the pores, I'm going to go in with the Professional Primer. Go ahead and place that in the areas where you have your pores. For me, that would be the area between the nose and the cheek area. So you'll see me place that there and also around my smile lines. I will be mixing my foundations today, so I am going in with the Dose of Color Meet Your Hue in the shade 118 Light Medium and the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte in the shade Caramel Beige 108. So if you've seen my other videos, I purchased the Dose of Color foundation. So it's fairly new, but it was a little too light on me. So I do mix it with a darker shade just to kind of blend it and make it my tone of color. I do go in with my brush and blend that out, and I will also go in with my beauty blender to pat it down and make sure that I have blended out any streaks the brush might have left. Now this foundation is a medium to full coverage. Because I have dark spots on my face, I do go in with a little bit more foundation and try to cover up those areas. So I will be cream contouring today, and I'm using the LA Girl Pro Concealer. This is in the shade Beautiful Bronze. And I'll go ahead and place that on my cheekbone area, down the bridge of my nose, on my forehead, and a little bit underneath my jawline. Now you can use as much or as little as you want. I put maybe medium size. I don't like to overdose in the contour, and as you'll see me blending it in, it actually blends perfectly into the hollows of my cheek. Now you'll notice me making fish faces. That's just so that I can define the hollows of my cheek area. For nose contouring, I go really light. I don't contour as heavy, just to give me a more defined nose. Not that I want it to look thinner, but just to define it better. Now I'm going in with the concealer from Tarte. This is the Shape Tape in the shade Medium. Now, as you notice the technique, I would just place a little bit on the inner corner of my eyes. Also put it towards the tail of my eye and a little bit on my eyelid. This is just so that I don't get too much product underneath my eyes or in my eye area, because I do tend to crease. I try to put as minimal as possible versus what I used to do where I would pile on the concealer. Now this is just something that you'll learn along the way. You'll learn your face, you'll learn what is good for you, what is not good for you. At the end of the day, everybody's different, guys, and you will notice how the product lays on your face, and that's how you can make, you know, any tweaks or any changes based off of how your face reacts to the product. Just, it's personal preference. I mean, everybody has their own way of doing their concealer. Now you can blend it out however you want. I'm just using this new brush that I received from Morphe. It is the R33 brush, and I'm just blending it in, but I will go in with my beauty blender, place the concealer in the areas where I normally want the lighter shade. So that's my forehead or center of my forehead, down the bridge of my nose, the cupid's bow, and a little bit on the chin. To To set the concealer, I'm going to use the Ciate London Everyday Vacay. This is in coconut, and you want to lightly start placing that translucent powder underneath your eyes. Again, this is also personal preference. I like to lightly dust underneath my eyes. Some people like to bake underneath their eyes. It's whatever you want to do as long as you set your concealer. And then I will take that same powder and just brush it lightly around the perimeters of my face. And then of course I become clumsy and I drop my powder everywhere. Now I did buy a new Physician Formula bronzer. This is the Butter Bronzer in Sunset Bronzer. Such a pretty like sun-kissed bronze for the summer. It's beautiful. Go ahead and bronze around the perimeters of your face. That is the forehead, your cheekbone area, and underneath your chin, and also your jawline. Now, I felt that I had a little bit too much bronzer and contour color on my hollows of my cheeks, so I do go in and cut the cheekbone area. As you'll see me do here, I take the setting powder and I go from my ear and go downwards towards the edge of my lips. Again, everybody is different. Their faces could be round or heart shaped. A lot will call this baking because I will leave it for a certain amount of time. That way so I have a more crispier cheekbone area. And then you'll also see me go and put on the sides of my nose. Basically what it is that you're highlighting those areas. Now for the palette that I am using today, it is by Morphe and it's the 9V Vintage Rose Artistry palette, which is more of the mauvey purpley tones. Not sure what look I'm gonna do today, but we'll play with the palette. I'll try to use as much shades as possible. I like to start with a white canvas, so I'm gonna go in with that first shade, which is called That's Classic, and I'm just gonna place that all over the eyelid. Any flat brush will do. I am using the Luxie 209 large shader brush. Now my camera cut off and I did not realize, so I did start the eye, but I am using this shade, which is called Rose Bold, and I am taking the Morphe R39 brush and I am placing that on the crease of my eye. I am patting the product on the crease of the eye and then I will blend it out with another brush. So I'm sort of making a V shape from the outer corner of my eye to meet with the crease of my eye, just to make that V shape. And as I place the color, I am blending out. I will continue to pick up product to intensify that crease area. Now to blend the edges, I am going in with this shade that's called Petal Play. And I'm taking another Morphe brush, which is the M504 brush. And this is a more fluffier blending brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shade and I'm going to start buffing the edges of that crease shadow that I placed down. Now I'm taking the shade Blossom and I'm going to use that with another blending brush, which is the Kylie Jenner number 15. And I'm going to go ahead and blend my crease. Now I do go back with the other brush and I place that first shade underneath my eye towards the corner of my eye. Back to the Morphe palette, I'm going to take the shade Forget Me Not, and I'm going to use a sort of pencil detailing brush. This is the R41. And I will start stamping that shade on the outer corner of my eye. I will move or blend upwards towards the crease of my eye, only leaving it at the outer corner of the eye. And as you'll see, I will maintain that V shape to define that area a little better, and that's what you will normally use a dark shade, is to build depth. Continue to do that. Start placing more color if needed to darken up that area. Now you'll see me switch my brushes in between. I am still using the same brushes. All I'm doing is blending out those harsh lines and areas where I need to add a little bit of the first shade or a little bit of the second shade, or go more into the brown shade to intensify that area. Now I'm taking a definer brush, and this is just to place the product in a certain area where you don't want it to be blended out. I am taking that brown shade and I am placing it underneath my eyes. And as you'll see, I am only leaving that shade on the outer corner of the eye. I'm not going towards the inner corner of the eye. Going back in the palette, I'm going to take this shade, which is called Legend Has It. It's a shimmer shade. I will take a flat definer brush and place that on the middle or towards the brown shade to mesh those two colors together. Now this step is probably not necessary, but I wanted to use as much shades in the palette, so this is the only reason why I took this shade to kind of blend in with that brown shade, but with the brown shade would have been perfectly fine. Now I'm going to take off that bake, as you see here. Then go back into the palette, and I'm going to take this shade, which is Retro Whoa, and with a different flat brush, you're going to take that and place it on the center of your eye. And what you're going to do is you're going to marry that brown shade, you're going to blend them together. Now, I felt that this shade was not as shimmery as I thought it was going to be, so I do continue to build it. And as you all know, I do like to use my finger for this a lot of the times when I'm using shimmer. But for this look, I kind of wanted to see how the shade worked with the brush. I do go in with another shade in the palette to see if it lightens up. This one is called Flourish, and I take that on the inner corner of the eye and marry it with the other colors. And again, I didn't see any kind of pigment on it. As you can see, I wasn't very happy with it, so I do go in with something different later on, as you'll see. So since I didn't get the payoff that I wanted with the eyelid, I do go in with this Revlon Photo Ready Eye Art, and this is a liquid and shimmery or glittery eyelid shade. It's in the shade Topaz Twinkle. Now this made a difference on the eye, as you'll see. I do take the wand and place a little bit of that liquid shadow, and I blend it out with a flat brush. I really wanted to give the palette a fair shot, so I went back in with that flourish shade, shimmer shade, and I actually placed it with my finger, and it had a good payoff, but it wasn't what I was looking for. So I do go back in with that Revlon liquid eyeshadow, and I will place the glittery shade on top. Definitely that glitter made a big difference on the eye. I highly recommend that Revlon Eye Art. Now you'll just see me do the same process that I did before. I will intensify the outer corner and start blending all the colors together, change my brushes in between as well. Taking that same flourish shade, and I'm going to use that as the inner corner highlight. I will wet it so that way it pops better, and I will also use that as the brow highlight. My face says it all, so I will go in with the Morphe coconut pencil and line my waterline. I am using a new mascara today. This is from Lily Lashes. I got this in one of my boxy charm boxes. Go ahead and coat your top and bottom lashes. It's very liquidy, so if you don't like liquidy mascara, you like it a little more on the dry side, you may not like this. I thought it was fine, but it was very liquidy. For blush, you can use any pinky shade blush. I'm using the Studio Makeup Luminous Loose Blush, and I'm going to place that on the apples of my cheek, and I also do a little flush of color on my nose. To highlight, I'm going to take the Maybelline Master Chrome Metallic Highlight in the shade 250 and go ahead and use a highlighting brush. I'm using the Morphe M501 brush and place that on the top of your cheekbone area. I do it on the top of my brow bone and also down the bridge of my nose, cupid's bow, and chin. If you're looking for a blinding highlight, this is the best highlight so far in my collection. This is a drugstore product, so it's very affordable. And as you all know, I do take my beauty blender and I wet it with my mist, and I will set my entire face. I like the products to melt, that way there's no lines, no powdiness, no cakiness. I'm going to set it with the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. Also in my BoxyCharm box, and this is the June box, I got a set of lip pencils. One is a more plummy brown shade and the other one's a nude shade. I will go in with the nude and I will go ahead and line my lips with that. I am over drying a little bit because I am going in with a gloss color. For the lip gloss, I am going with this lip shade in the shade Dress Up. And as always, I do take my concealer brush and I will clean up around the edges of my lips. And that is the final look. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I gotta say, the palette I like, the matte colors are really good to work with, but the shimmer shades were not my cup of tea. But if you use the lid shades, I mean, you can always add, like I did, a liquid shadow or a liquid glitter and make the eye pop a little bit better. But yeah, that's the final look. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe and go ahead to my Instagram as well and follow me there. As always, you guys are awesome, and I will see you on my next video. Bye guys.